What would happen if tourism and expat money suddenly stopped in Puerto Vallarta? Let's walk through a difficult but important question. What would actually happen if tourism and expat money suddenly shut off in Puerto Vallarta, not slowed down? Not dipped, not reduced, but stopped. To answer that, we need to start with scale. Puerto Vallarta International Airport handled nearly 7 million passengers in a recent year. Now remember, airport statistics count arrivals and departures. So, if you divide that roughly in half, you're looking at about 3.5 million arriving passengers. Now let's apply national tourism spending benchmarks. Visitors arriving by air to Mexico often spend close to $1,000 per trip, on average. Some spend far more, some less, but that's a workable baseline. So if you multiply roughly 3.5 million air arrivals by about $1,000 in spending, you're re-looking at approximately $3.5 billion per year flowing into the Puerto Vallarta economy from air visitors alone. And that number doesn't even include road travelers' cruise, visitors' day, trippers from other regions, or domestic Mexican tourism. That's just air arrivals. Now let's layer in expat and long-stay foreign resident spending. Puerto Vallarta has a permanent population just under 300,000 people in the municipality. Within that population is a significant number of foreign long-term residents and snowbirds. Their isn't one precise public number for how many foreign residents are spending consistently in the local economy. So economists would model it as a range. If you conservatively assume somewhere between 10,000 and 30,000 foreign long-stay residents, and assume each spends between $1,500 and $3,000 per month locally on rent, HOA fees, groceries, dining, health services, entertainment, household help, that produces somewhere between $180 million and over $1 billion per year in ongoing local demand. So if we combine tourism via air arrivals, $3.5 billion, expat and long-stay resident spending, roughly 20 cents to $1.1 billion, we're re-looking at somewhere in the range of $3.7 to $4.6 billion per year in direct economic demand. And that is likely conservative.
Now imagine that entire pipeline shutting off. What happens? The first impact is immediate. Cash flow collapse. Hotels operate on occupancy. If occupancy drops to zero, rooms don't get cleaned. Housekeepers are furloughed. Front desk staff are reduced. Maintenance is cut back. Food and beverage departments shut down. Restaurants and bars that depend on visitor volume would experience an overnight revenue drop. Many operate on thin margins. Without tourist volume, some close within weeks. Transportation, taxis, Ubers, airport transfers, boat charters, fishing tours. Excursion operators would see demand evaporate. Drivers who rely on daily fares suddenly have none. Tourism isn't just one industry. It is a network. When the visitor disappears, the network contracts. Within the first month, you would see layoffs across hospitality, food and beverage, tour operations, retail, catering to visitors, event services, entertainment venues, cruise-related services, airport vendors. But it doesn't stop there. Because Puerto Vallarta's economy has a second pillar, real estate and construction, tied to foreign buyers and renters. If expat money also shuts off, you see a second shock. Short-term rentals go vacant. Long-term rentals go vacant. Luxury condo sales stall. Developers pause projects. Construction crews slow down. Trades, electricians, plumbers, tile installers, carpenters lose contracts. Real estate brokers see transaction volume freeze. Private services that rely on higher-income foreign residents, gyms, private clinics, wellness centers, specialty grocery stores, the services. Salons experience demand contraction. Now we move into months 2 through 6. Unemployment rises. Informal labor increases. More people try to sell goods on the street. Household incomes shrink. Spending contracts further. This is called a multiplier effect. When tourism revenue disappears, the people who would have earned income from tourism also stop spending. That secondary contraction deepens the downturn. Local suppliers feel it. Food distributors, laundry services, beverage suppliers, maintenance contractors, cleaning product wholesalers, construction material providers. By 6 to 12 months, municipal revenue begins to weaken. When commercial activity slows, tax collections and fees tied to commerce decline. Infrastructure maintenance gets delayed. Public improvements slow. The city doesn't disappear. Puerto Vallarta is still a real city with residents, schools, hospitals, and regional connections, but it becomes a smaller economic version of itself. Instead of being a tourism-powered growth market, it becomes a regional city trying to stabilize after losing billions in annual demand. The scale matters. We're not talking about losing a few percentage points of GDP. We're talking about removing several $billion per year from a local economy whose population is under 300,000 in the municipality. That's an extraordinary shock. Would the city survive? Yes. Would it look the same? No. Real estate values would likely correct downward. Luxury inventory would increase. High-end restaurants would close or consolidate. Employment would shift toward more local serving sectors. Migration patterns might reverse. Some residents would relocate in search of opportunity, but Puerto Vallarta would not become a ghost town. It would contract. It would recalibrate. And over time, new forms of economic activity might emerge. However, the immediate result of an overnight tourism and expat spending shutdown would be a multi-billion-dollar demand vacuum, a sharp employment shock, a rapid contraction in hospitality, real estate, and service sectors, and a period of economic restructuring. The reason this thought experiment matters is because it shows how deeply tourism and foreign spending are woven into the economic fabric of Puerto Vallarta. This isn't a seasonal side industry. It is foundational. Tourism dollars fund wages. Wages fund grocery purchases. Grocery purchases fund suppliers. Suppliers fund transportation. Transportation funds fuel vendors. It's an ecosystem. Remove the primary inflow of external money, and the entire system tightens. So when people ask what would happen if tourism and expat money disappeared overnight, the honest answer is this: Puerto Vallarta would face a severe recession-level contraction. Driven by the sudden removal of billions of dollars in annual demand, it would survive, but it would transform. And that transformation would be fast, visible, and deeply felt.